Alright everybody, we're going to do a quick tutorial on making sure that you're filling out the applications on a paper application correctly. Now, when you're filling out paper applications for Florida Blue Medicare Advantage, there are a couple of key pieces of information, and we need to make sure that all of the information is filled out appropriately. If you don't fill out all of the information appropriately, there is a chance that the application won't process correctly, and that wouldn't be good. As you look at the application here, we're going to start with a regional PPO application. The regional PPO and the local PPO, also known as the concierge PPO, will be on the same application. So as we look at the application, the first thing that you're going to see that can be missed is the gender. Gender is very important. That has to be filled out. As we scroll our eyes down for our applications, we have our Medicare claim numbers, which also need to be filled out, and please be accurate with that information as well. Where we're getting the most difficulty and we're missing the most amount of information is for the office use only section. You need to make sure that your name, your Florida Blue agent identification number, as well as your Florida state license number is filled out. The agent confirmation number is your telephonic application scope. So that's where you will put the scope of appointment confirmation number. If it was a application that was done, a scope of appointment that was done in a different manner and you're mailing it, you'll write mail on that, so that way they can identify where the scope is. You must have the appropriate election period checked off, the date that you received the application, as well as the requested effective date and the plan identification number. Now, it's very important with plan identification numbers that you're using the full extension. Typically, your identification number would be, for example, R3332 for the regional PPO. The local PPO would be H5434. Now, when we talk about the HMOs, there are a bunch of variables for the HMOs, and we will cover that when we look at the HMO application. Also, when you're looking at this application, some other pieces of information that are important: how premium payment is going to be selected, whether they want a monthly bill, they'd like an EFT where you can put the information in there as well, automatic deductions from Social Security, as well as railroad. All the information that you will see below in Section 3 also needs to be completed, where we have information about other coverage, medical situations that are going on in the past and currently. Also, we have our information when it comes to current plans, if they're working. And yes, even for the section here that you see in number 6, it is important that you have the information listed there for the physician choice for the doctor in which they are seeing. As we move down further, we do want to make sure that we're addressing the election period. If it is a special election period, as you see below, that information needs to be provided with documentation. Documentation will need to be provided by the insured. Sometimes a letter of credible coverage or other information will be needed. If your client is replacing a Florida Blue Medicare supplement for test drive purposes, this information also needs to be provided, so make sure that you have their current identification number. All of our required information here. Now, in this day and age, we want to make sure that we're obtaining the email address. So the email address with the signature, how the method of communication also needs to be provided to the client, how they would like to make sure that's being taken care of. Ethnicity, if they would like to provide, also has to be listed. Now, next section that you're going to see in the application is authorization for protected health information. So you can see authorization form that if they wanted a member to speak on their behalf, in other words, if the wife wanted the husband to be able to call, you fill in the member name, the contract number should be left blank, but the date of birth should be filled out, the relationship to the member, as well as the authorization when it's going to expire, and then a signature and a date, and that could be sent to, that could be stations as well. Scope of appointment form, if done on paper, the name of the client should be written on the top of this form and written on page 2 as well. Scope of appointment form, if done telephonically, if you're doing a telephone scope, then this would not need to be sent in. If you are doing the telephone scope, remember that on the application itself, when you're in the application, this is a complete summary of benefits. When you're in that application, that telephone scope number has to be written in the agent confirmation section here. So that covers all of the things that really need to be done in an application. And then now let's look at an HMO application. Alright, so now let's take a look at the HMO application. So the HMO application again has 2 choices as well, and with the HMO application it's very important that we have all of the same information filled out, making sure that we're not missing any of the important stuff. Now the email address is going to be located in a little different spot on the HMO application. It's going to be located right here in the middle, right above the Medicare claim number. So make sure that you've got that filled out. Again, in this section for office use only, it's very important that that's filled out correctly. Agent name, ID, license number, confirmation number applies for how the scope of appointment was handled, the effective date, and the plan ID. Now the plan ID becomes very important because when we're looking at the HMOs, each county actually has their own different plan ID. Now when we're looking at the HMO that's available in all of the counties or the large number of counties, we're going to call that all county. The prime time is going to be H1026054. The lifetime H1026040. Palm Beach and Pinellas HMO, prime time H1026051. Lifetime H1026038, and then Miami-Dade H1026048, and Miami-Dade Lifetime H1026001. The problem becomes is that if you don't have that appropriate plan ID written down in the bottom right hand corner, when your client fills out the application and, for example, or you assist them with the application, if they don't have the appropriate selection done at the top, then there could be a chance that they can be enrolled in the wrong program. So you must be conscious of that. Hope this really helps. Don't want to have any mistakes. Want to make sure that everybody gets the right commissions, everybody gets enrolled in the appropriate program, and thank you for listening.